Layoffs for thousands of federal workers. President Trump sends troops to Oregon, and we say goodbye to Jane Goodall at 91. Plus, want to know what happens to national parks when the government shuts down? Or why Elon Musk is on a mission to cancel Netflix? And just in case the world falls apart, where should you run to survive it? We got you in today's Flyover Extra. And here's the trivia question. Which company is the largest private employer in the United States? Is it A, Walmart, B, Starbucks, or C, Amazon? Keep your guesses and I'll tell you the answer at the end of the show. It's Thursday, October 2nd. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hello and welcome back to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown. Can you believe it's already October? Here in Massachusetts, just a few trees have started turning orange, but my parents up in New Hampshire say the leaves are already bursting with red and orange. Wherever you are, fall is officially here. Now, let's take off with the biggest headlines of the day. First up, the funding bill has failed again in the Senate. On Wednesday morning, Democrats voted for the third time in 2 weeks to block a stopgap measure. Federal agencies are now bracing for widespread layoffs. In a call with House Republicans, Budget Director Russell Vought said layoffs could begin within a day or two. As many as 750,000 federal employees are expected to be furloughed, while essential workers will still have to report to work without pay until the shutdown ends, though they'll be paid retroactively later on. Meanwhile, members of Congress will continue to receive their pay, and the White House has already begun pausing or canceling billions in funding for blue states, including an $18 billion freeze on New York City infrastructure projects. That freeze came just hours after the shutdown began. Shifting now to Oregon, President Trump says National Guard troops have arrived to respond to ongoing clashes at federal immigration offices. About 200 Guard members were activated under federal authority after the president declared Portland was descending into what he called, quote, lawless mayhem. Troops started arriving in Salem and Woodburn on Tuesday, where they'll spend 3 days training in crowd control and use of force before heading to Portland later this week. A similar effort is also happening in Memphis, Tennessee, where Attorney General Pam Bondi says a new SAFE task force has already made 53 arrests and seized 20 illegal firearms in just 2 days. And finally, we remember Jane Goodall, the world-renowned primatologist and anthropologist who passed away in California during a speaking tour. She was 91 years old. Goodall became famous at age 26 for her groundbreaking work with chimpanzees in Tanzania, showing that they not only use tools but also develop unique personalities, findings that forever changed how we understand primates. Her work is considered one of the landmark achievements of the 20th century science. Rest in peace. Here's what's happening in politics. First up, the Supreme Court has temporarily blocked President Trump's attempt to remove Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, allowing her to stay in her post until oral arguments in January 2026. Lower courts had already concluded that her removal might violate the Fed's for-cause protections. Moving on in a striking foreign policy move, Trump signed an executive order pledging to defend Qatar against attacks, stating any aggression against Qatar would be treated as a threat to U.S. security. The order follows a recent missile strike in Doha that left several dead, including a Qatari security officer. More information about this can be found in the show notes below. And third, the administration has announced a new round of sanctions on Iran, reimposing United Nations penalties under the so-called snapback mechanism. The sanctions target companies and individuals tied to missile and military production, and Russia has already signaled it will not recognize the reinstated measures. Here are some podcast extra stories just for you. National parks will remain partially open during the federal government shutdown that began yesterday, according to the Interior Department's contingency plan. Open-air areas like trails, memorials, and scenic lookouts will stay accessible, but buildings that require staff, such as visitor centers and monuments, like the Washington Monument, will be closed. About 64% of Park Service employees are being furloughed, leaving only accepted workers handling law enforcement, emergency response, and safety. Park advocates and dozens of former superintendents are urging the Interior Department to fully close sites, warning that leaving them open without staff risks both visitor safety and the preservation of natural and historic resources. And Elon Musk has launched a boycott push against Netflix, zeroing in on the animated series Dead End Paranormal Park. The show, which features a transgender lead character, has long drawn backlash from some critics who argue its themes are inappropriate for kids. Over 3 days, Musk posted that the content was deeply wrong and not okay, before telling his 226 million X followers to, quote, cancel Netflix for the health of your kids. His call quickly drove hashtag cancel Netflix into the trending ranks and sparked millions of views. The backlash grew after posts from the show's creator, Hamish Steele, resurfaced that appeared to celebrate the assassination of Charlie Kirk, though Steele denies celebrating his death. And an article spotlighted 9 of the best U.S. places to retreat to if society were to collapse. I think about this often as well. Each location was picked for its balance of natural resources, distance from major urban centers, and communities already experienced in self-reliant living. The list includes Sandpoint, Idaho, the Ozark Mountains and the Appalachian Mountains, the Kenai Peninsula, the Bitterroot Valley in Montana, Driggs, Idaho, Taos, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona, and the North Cascades, Washington. Oh man, none of those places are in the Northeast. Oh, that's okay. I'll come visit you. Together, these regions offer a mix of fertile farmland, defensible terrain, and long traditions of self-sufficiency, making them some of the most resilient places to ride out a crisis. Still to come, a big quarter for Ford, a costly fine for Colorado, and a history-making win on Wheel of Fortune. Thanks to our sponsor, Nimi Skincare. For everyone asking how I keep my skin fresh and glowing, even after long nights and early mornings, the answer is Nimi Skincare. Their gentle, powerful daily cleanser, Nimi Clean, is the foundation of my routine. I actually love it. It removes the makeup, the dirt, oil without stripping, so my skin stays soft and hydrated and bright. I follow it with Nimi's 3-step anti-aging routine. Clean, treat, and moisturize. Clinically backed to restore the skin barrier, boost collagen, reduce fine lines, lock in moisture, and brighten for a healthy glow. And gentlemen and ladies, you're gonna love this. Proudly American-made, Nimi rivals top international brands while staying true to values of faith, family, and freedom. Right now, Flyover listeners get 15% off with code Flyover at checkout. Visit NimiSkincare.com, use code Flyover, and thank me later. All the information can be found in the show notes below. In finance, Amazon has rolled out a new private label grocery brand called Amazon Grocery, combining its Amazon Fresh and Happy Belly lines into a single line of over 1,000 items. Most products are priced under $5, aiming to attract cost-conscious shoppers during a tight consumer climate. Switching gears, Ford's U.S. sales jumped 8.2% in Q3, largely driven by trucks and vans. Its electric vehicle sales also hit a record high for a quarter, as many buyers rushed to buy before the federal EV tax credit expired this week. But Ford CEO now warns that without the credit, EV demand could shrink by as much as 50%. And finally, 5 states, New York, Virginia, Arizona, Connecticut, and Washington, have sued Redfin and Zillow, accusing them of colluding to reduce competition in the online rental listings market. The complaint claims Zillow paid Redfin $100 million in return for Redfin pulling out of multifamily rental advertising and exclusively syndicating Zillow listings. Here's how the stocks did yesterday. The markets closed higher across the board. The Nasdaq rose 0.42%, S&P 500 gained 0.34%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average inched up 0.09%. In commodities and crypto, Bitcoin climbed 3.09%, and gold added 1.30% to 3,000. $890 per ounce. And the day's biggest mover was Fluence Energy, which surged almost 25% following the delivery of its first domestically manufactured energy storage system. In sports, the Big 12 fined Colorado $50,000 for fan chants targeting BYU during last weekend's game. The conference called the behavior inappropriate and emphasized that discriminatory language has no home in its standards. Colorado's athletic leadership apologized and said it's reviewing its fan policies. You can read more about the discriminatory language in today's show notes, but let's just say it's not safe for the Flyover podcast. Moving on, the Cleveland Browns are benching veteran Joe Flacco this week and naming rookie Dillon Gabriel their starter against the Vikings. Gabriel, a third-round pick, becomes the 41st quarterback to start for Cleveland since 1999. Meanwhile, another rookie, Shedeur Sanders, will remain third on the depth chart for now. Next, ESPN's early season rankings place USC Jaden Maiava as the top college quarterback after 1 month, followed by Vanderbilt's Diego Pavia at number 2 and Ole Miss's Trinidad Chambliss at number 3. Maiava leads the nation in adjusted total quarterback ratings so far. See the full list as well in the show notes. In science and technology, first up, AOL has officially ended its dial-up internet service effective September 30th. That means its screeching modems are gone for good, though AOL will still offer email, tech support, and identity protection services. Oh, may it rest in peace. Switching gears, scientists now believe cosmic dust is much spongier than previously thought. Instead of little rocks drifting through space, these grains are more porous and fluffy. A detail that could reshape our models of how stars and planets form. Here are a few more stories to wrap up your day. First, a boiler room explosion rocked a 20-story New York City high-rise yesterday morning, causing part of the building's corner to collapse. Amazingly, no injuries were reported, though investigators are now probing whether a gas leak triggered the blast. In lighter news, a Connecticut woman made Wheel of Fortune history by walking away with an over $1.035 million cash win. She even joked about quitting her marketing job right there in the studio with her boss watching. I love that story. I would do the same thing. Sorry. And finally, Chunk. Yes, I said Chunk, a 1,200-pound brown bear with a scar and a broken jaw, won the 2025 Fat Bear Week contest in Alaska's Katmai Park, defeating 11 other contenders. His win comes after placing second in past years, and it drew over 1.5 million votes this round. Congratulations to Chunk. Let's get to the polls. Here's the results of yesterday's poll question. Which music service do you mainly use? 26% of you said none. 17% said Pandora. 13% Spotify. Another 13% said other. 11% said Apple Music. Another 11% said Amazon Music. And 9% said YouTube Music. Thank you so much to everyone who voted. Here's the poll question for today. Which Peanuts character is your favorite? Charlie Brown, Linus Van Pelt, Lucy Van Pelt, Peppermint Patty, Snoopy, other, or they're all blockheads. For me, obviously, Charlie Brown is my favorite because we have the same last name and he's the main character. But what about you? You can vote below in the show notes and I will read the answers in tomorrow's show. Here's the trivia question. Which company is the largest private employer in the U.S.? I hope you had your guesses, and here's the answer. The largest private employer in the U.S. is Walmart, which has 1.6 million employees. Amazon comes in second with 1.1 million workers, significantly more than the 443,000 employed by UPS, which ranks third. If you thought, oh, it's got to be Starbucks, nope, Starbucks ranked 16th with employees at 228,000, followed by Disney at 25th place with 147,000. Now you know, maybe you are employed by one of these groups. If you are, thanks for your service. That's going to wrap up today's episode of the Flyover podcast. Thanks so much for spending part of your day with me and catching up on the news. Don't forget, you can always find us online at jointheflyover.com or on your favorite podcast app. Until next time, I'm Ayla Brown. I'll be back tomorrow with more headlines. Thanks for flying with us.